Hey guys, this is Jamie. So today I want to talk about something which is, I guess, a bit unusual for me, but regardless. I wanted to talk specifically about how people treat relationships, but I am talking this from a more, I guess, cishet point of view, which is alien to me, but regardless. Obviously, I've been noticing a lot of people sort of trying to go back into more traditional gender roles, and obviously there's a lot of guys who want trad wives, there's women which want to be sugar babies, and nothing wrong with that, but I feel like it still boils down to some sort of transactional aspect of it, which gets weird in that opinion. Like, I understand that everyone has their choice to be one or not to be one, but I feel like people really sort of strip down the essentials of respect, for instance, from relationships. Like, you have like back in the day, like 90s, 80s, whatever, zeros, even today factually, like you still have like for instance, I was looking at like the Nana subreddit, and there were like, girls, how do you explain to guys what Nana's about? Because it's like such a apparently female woman only understandable thing, which is really weird because it's well, I prefer Paradise Kiss to Nana, but Paradise Kiss is still very sort of acceptable for a male audience, and the same for Nana. So it feels weird that people sort of think that certain things go as for women, some things go for men, and then it creates more tension, more barriers into not respecting, sort of putting boundaries. And in general, I always found it weird growing up, and I don't know, maybe it was a signal of me being gay, really. I always wondered, why was I supposed to look for someone completely opposite of me? Like, what was the point in that? Why should I have people or a partner who does not understand what I like? And that to me was very, very difficult. Or like, obviously I grew up, I looked at people, and people would watch like separate movies, have a minuscule time together, and it always felt very weird to me. Like households which like someone watches rom-com, someone doesn't, or like action films are for men, and these stereotypes, they sort of go on hand in hand, and then because you don't understand the person through your similar hobbies or interests, it kind of goes into this, not that opposites attract, but in a weird way. And what prompted this video actually was a conversation on Blue Sky that I saw, which was about marriage, and how older women are saying no to marriage. And how to put this, I don't think I ever was against marriage. I was against being with someone who I would not have common interests with, and I didn't, well, I did prefer to be alone, in a way that I just thought that I want to find someone. So that was my basis, and I feel like this whole blanketing of partners not being worthy of marriage, or like not trusting, is a very weird hill to die on, but at the same time, it's something that I've heard before. Obviously, we've all heard it before. Like growing up with my mom, she was very against marriages, and well, she was very anti-men, factually. And there's a reason we don't talk. So yeah, and it's kind of weird. And I remember like watching like Colombian soap operas growing up, and like the only stable couples were like gay ones, and everyone else was really messy. And I was like, well, I want to be that gay couple, and voila. So to me, obviously there are messy gay couples. There are gay couples who cheat, they're just messy in general. But I feel like when it comes to gay couples, you try to find something more in common. Like, and I feel that this is more of a recent thing of sort of trying to make a hetero relationship in a gay one with the top-bottom division when it comes to gay men. Before you had that in lesbians, and well, I feel like it's going away from that from what I see, and obviously a lot of butch people understand that they're non-binary, and yeah. Anyway, Leslie Feinberg was a mess. So yeah, so I feel like on the opposite, we as a society should be striving to find comfort in our partner and someone to want to be with. And this has been a sort of topic, I can't say in the front of my mind, but in general, because I met my partner Lucas like 13 years ago. We really hit it off. We've been together ever since, and it was always like a bunch of people asking, like, we're assuming like, hey, you're not gonna end up together, which was doing lots of things for my mental health at the time because I was being abused. And yeah, everyone was always kind of against, as in a lot of my abusers, sort of against Lucas being supportive of my interests and me being supportive of Lucas's interests. And I guess that was, well, by people who abuse me, I get stuff like, oh, he's just lying to like Lady Gaga because you like Lady Gaga. It was absolutely unhinged shit. And I understand that obviously not everyone, even though they're opposites, how to put this, are in a bad relationship actually, but it's very bizarre to see this sort of strive, this desire, like, and people sort of try to paint themselves as someone unachievable, and they put their standards. I wouldn't say that it's a bad thing to put your standards high, because my standard was literally, I want someone who will be with me like through thick and thin, and who understands my hobbies, and we will both like the same music. Like, sorry, I was a teenager. It works though. So those were my standards, and they were considered high. But you have standards like when it comes to looks, dick size, I don't know, butt size, I don't know. And I don't think that's what we should be striving for. It's not like you're marrying a picture. And obviously when you are focusing, like, for you it's importance, like looks are importance, and you don't care about anything else, well, the rest can end up being a randomized sim, you know? You should be striving to see other qualities in partners. And then when you talk to people, like for instance the Blue Sky thread, I was like, well, I find it unfair because I'm really tired of getting talked down on, and it has happened in the past. Like, I'm still sort of in this floating space, whether I'm poly or mono or whatever the fuck. I tell the story a lot, but I went to hook up and this guy just burst in tears because I was apparently shocking, because he thought that he'd find the love of his life, or like, how was it? Like, love of a lifetime, and he thought, and the fact that I had found mine and I was open was just destroying his fantasy of how love should work, and that it meant no hope for him, but not in a way that he wanted to be with me, but in general, it was sort of like, this is fucked for him, and this fucked thing is working. And I feel like also people don't tell their partners many things. Like, when it came to me and Lucas, we always communicated. And I understand that obviously if you're communicating the truth and the other one isn't, then that's not really communication. But I feel like, well, in general, I kind of cling on to this theory, which isn't very nice probably. I still feel like when there are certain things to come over, when it comes to your love between you and your partner or partners, your love survives strongly, and there's room for it to grow and roots, and obviously it's gonna be much stronger. So obviously with Lucas, it was a distance relationship in the beginning, long distance. It was very difficult to accept. Well, it's not easy, and it wasn't easy with me being trans and a trans guy, and it wasn't easy for some reason for people to accept us as gay. So, well, as a gay relationship, I mean. So it's very bizarre that people have it easier in like cis-het relationships, obviously, which have no conflicts outside of them, or something that pulls them down. Like, we had to fight to be accepted, like sort of move in and other things. And you really kind of think it through, you communicate with your partner a lot. But when it comes to cis-het people who just swipe on Tinder and decide to have unprotected sex, and 3 babies later maybe they'll get married, is it really love? I mean, if it is, sure, but I don't know. And it also can be from my position, because it's difficult for me to get married to Lucas, because being trans, it's very difficult to change my passport, and then I wouldn't legally be recognized by my passport, and it's just a mess. So I do have this thing where I have a lot of sort of, not resentment, but no, I'll call it resentment. I sort of have this annoyance, or I do get jealous that me and Lucas don't have a straightforward way to get married, and despite the fact that we've been together forever and everything, is still very difficult to get to that point where my passport will be changed and we will be able to do the wedding. So, and then there's people also from the same blue sky thread, which were like, I'm with my partner, paper means nothing, papers ruin everything or whatever. And I'm like, people have no idea how much I strive for that paper. So yeah. Like, I don't know, it just feels like people don't love anymore sometimes. And people are just trying to fit into this stereotype, and I understand that we're going through very heavy times worldly and socially and psychologically, and there's this whole conflict, very, very strict on tradition versus LGBT people. And people are just getting stricter with religion, laws. I mean, Iowa passed night shifts for 16-year-olds, 14-year-olds, what was it? And we live in really gloomy times. So maybe that's why people's guard is up. But at the same time, shouldn't it be a desire to find someone instead of being more harsh to people around you, specifically the ones that you want to be with? I don't know. It's a very strange phenomenon, but I guess we've always had that phenomenon. And I feel like because straight marriages were always encouraged as hetero ones, and they were sort of seen as an obligation, and humanity has always been obsessed with like passing down genes and stuff. I feel like, well, there were a lot of marriages of convenience, and the gay ones were always kind of breaking the mold. So you had to be there in spite of what society was telling you. So like choosing a partner was really, well, you need to make sure that this partner is the one you're with, you know? And they'll stick to you through thick and thin. Like, obviously, people would break up and etc. But it was still difficult. So yeah. And I remember, and then there's obviously another side of the coin, which was quite interesting. I remember reading a few years back about Beth Ditto, who identified as lesbian, now identifies as queer, if I'm not mistaken. And she was a big sort of person who made a lot of changes, was very vocal about being a lesbian, and she divorced her wife, and she's currently now with a trans guy. I think they're happy. Well, they're happily. I don't know if they're married or not, but yeah, she was saying that it's interesting to sort of fight for this thing and then like go back into a head relationship, even though obviously she's very queer and etc. So obviously we love who we love, and people really stay rigid within those labels. Obviously there's a lot of transphobia in the gay community as well. There's a lot of everything. People just discard people for everything. I mean, we don't have to go far. Like, we can't travel visa-free everywhere. And it really depends where you're born, into what class you're born in. So it's a very sort of bizarre world where we're already labeled with what can we do and what can we don't, simply due to our parents and genitalia to an extent, and not genitalia, and a lot of things. So we're already born in this world which we will hate, so it's like, why spread the hate? And why make yourself suffer even more? I don't know, I guess I just always understand that I have a different outlook on life, and I have no idea how it is to be single in like your 30s or 20s, late 20s. So yeah. I feel like people are weird and people should love one another a bit more. And by love one another, I mean it shouldn't be like loving an abuser or something. You should be kind to yourself and kind to others who are kind to you. Basically, you don't have to excuse people who did you harm and love them. And you just need to find a partner if you wish so. And when it comes to partner hunting, I just wish people were a bit more kinder to everyone in the process. Not that I have skin in this game. I mean, I like Lucas already. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I'm sorry for assumptions, I guess. Regardless, thank you very much. If you enjoyed this video, consider buying me a coffee. I am sleepy. Likes, comments, subscriptions are very appreciated.